Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Madison. My name is Kelly Crocker and I'm one of the ministers here. Today I'm joined by my colleague, the Reverend Kelly Asprooth-Jackson, and by the worship team of Karen Polnitz, Linda Warren, Drew Collins, Stephen Gregorius, and Daniel Carnes. Special thanks to Todd Hams, our guest percussionist today. Thank you, Todd. And many thanks to those who are providing worship hospitality this morning. Ann Smiley and Melinda Gustafson Gervasi greeted you at the door. Ann Gullix and Liza Monroe and Dick Goldberg are our ushers. And Jeannie Hills, Gail Bliss, and Isa Grorowski are making and serving coffee. At First Unitarian Society, we question boldly, listen humbly, grow spiritually, act courageously, and love unapologetically. If you're visiting us today, welcome. We're so very glad that you are with us. If you'd like more information about the congregation, please stop by the welcome table, which is located in the Commons through those doors to your right. It's next to the elevator. We also hope you'll be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately after service, also in the Commons. And for those of you connecting with us virtually today, we're glad you are with us as well. We hope you'll be able to take a moment and watch the announcement slide shown briefly after today's service to find out more about what's happening here at First Unitarian. And now, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence as we center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time, joining together once again in community. Holy stillness, we sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. Speak with voices shaped by languages we did not create. Breathe free air that others died to protect. Every freedom we exercise, every opportunity we pursue, every moment of safety we enjoy carries the fingerprints of those who came before.
We remember ancestors of blood and choice, known and unknown, who endured hardships we can barely imagine so we might inherit possibilities they could only dream. We carry forward the hopes of enslaved people who chose love over bitterness, immigrants who crossed oceans for children they would never meet, activists who planted seeds in ground too hard for them to see bloom.
Their struggles live in our bodies, their dreams in our daily choices, their unfinished work in our hands. May we honor their sacrifices not through nostalgia, but through action, not through guilt, but through gratitude that moves our feet toward justice.
Help us become ancestors future generations will thank, planting trees whose shade we'll never rest in, fighting battles whose victories we won't live to see, loving this world forward with the same fierce hope that brought us here.
And we invite you now to rise in all the ways we do, joining together in the words of affirmation as we light our chalice. Like the light from this flame, which touches each of us, may our generosity connect us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality, as we covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources with each other and the world. Let us cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. And we invite you now to take a moment to turn and greet those around you.
Good morning. Good morning. Hope you enjoyed your extra hour of sleep. Let's use that extra energy to sing hymn number 114, Forward Through the Ages. Forward through the ages in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine. Gifts in differing measure, hearts of one accord. Manifold the service, one the sure reward. Forward through the ages in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine. Wander through the vision, realm of love and light. For it we must labor till our faith is sight. Prophets have proclaimed it, martyrs testify. Poets sung its glory, heroes for it died. Forward through the ages in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine. Not alone we fall. In each loss or triumph, lose or triumph all. Bound by God's far purpose, in one living hope, move we on together to the shining goal. Forward through the ages in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine.
Hello and good morning, everyone. I need some help with the story and the creation that we're going to make together. Do I have some explorers who'd like to join me on the carpet? Come on down. Hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Hi. Good morning. Buenos dias. Hello, hello. So this morning, today, I am really honored to share with you a little bit about Dia de Muertos. Has anyone heard of Dia de Muertos or Day of the Dead? Some of you, what do you know about it? Some of you might have learned a lot about it last week in one of your classes. What do you know?
I know about Los Muertos, that it's also in the movie Coco.
Yeah, we've seen the movie Coco, definitely. Yeah, what do you know about Dia de Muertos? When someone isn't alive anymore, yeah. What do you know about that? Oh, yes, that's a beautiful part of it, is honoring and celebrating the past and the people who have been part of the past. Yeah. You know a lot about Dia de Muertos. Yes, we said sugar skulls and marigolds. Yeah, I'm going to take one more. Yeah, excellent. You can put out what they liked when they were living. These are all you have a lot of good information about Dia de Muertos already. And I want to add a couple of things. That Dia de Muertos is celebrated yesterday and today, November 1st and 2nd. And it has its origins. Most of what we associate being part of Dia de Muertos originates from Mexico. From Mexico, and is a combination of indigenous traditions from the people who lived in that area for a long, long, long time, and the Christian tradition of All Souls Day that we are recognizing today at First Unitarian Society as well. And it's also celebrated in many countries across Latin America in different ways, and people in their homes might also celebrate in different ways. And so there's a lot of different unique ways to celebrate our loved ones. Does anybody know, what might people set up in their homes? Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be part of it. Does anyone know what the whole thing is called? What do you think? A cake. It does look like a cake. Yeah. Maybe we can put cake on this. What is it called? An altar. And especially for Dia de Muertos, we call it an ofrenda, which also means it's kind of an offering. We're making offerings to our loved ones. So I need your help, because our ofrenda looks a little lonely, a little sad. We need to put some fun stuff on here, and we're going to learn about some of the traditional items that go on our ofrendas. So my friend here, will you pick something from my basket, and we're going to see what it is, and we're going to put it on. Can you come over and put this on here for us? There's a little Velcro piece, and you can stick it on there. And what does that look like? Those are colorful papers. It's called papel picado, and they're cut papers, and the wind can go through them, and it symbolizes life and death kind of being part of our experience in the world, and kind of the connection between life and death. Yeah. How about, would you like to pick one? What do you see there? Can I help you to turn it a little bit? Put it right like that. That is incienso, or incense. And especially we put the scent of copal, which we say the scent calls our ancestors to us, and also helps to purify the space, to keep it sacred for this special day. Hi, would you like to pick one for us? Ooh, nice choice. What do you have there? We have candles. Again, we use candles to light the way for our ancestors, and also as a symbol of love. Yeah. Do you want to come and pick one? What do you have there? A sugar skull. Yeah, so people will sometimes decorate one sugar skull for each person that they are remembering on their ofrenda. It does sound yummy. And sometimes they get eaten also. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes because they're made of sugar and frosting. You have a special one there. What do you have there? A frame. And what's in the frame? A person. And that person is my abuela. And so that's somebody who I recognize on Dia de Muertos. Will you add her to our ofrenda for me, please? Thank you. Let's see. Can I have a few different people come? Let's see. You can take one. And you can take one. All right, and when you have one, you can stick one on. So I'm going to talk about a few of the things I have here. I have a cross made of marigolds, And the cross represents the 4 directions. That's all I have for now, but I'm gonna have you share some ideas with me. So if you didn't get to pull one, I'm gonna have you add some ideas. Thank you so much. Someone mentioned the marigolds. The marigolds, or we call it cempasúchil, has a special scent that also brings our ancestors back. We have sal, or salt, to help purify the space. Why do you think we have a glass of water? So we can stay healthy? Yeah, and we say that our ancestors come from a long journey, so we want them to have water and food for their journey. And we have special pan de muerto, which also has the directions kind of on the top. So that's a sacred part of this too. So thank you for helping me decorate our ofrenda. Now I want to know, if you were to make your own ofrenda, what are some things that you might put on? You might be thinking about a loved one who has passed, maybe a family member or a friend, or even a pet. What would you add? And maybe you just want to say the name of somebody that you're remembering. So I'm going to start back here. Your great-grandpa, thank you. Yeah. Your mom's mom, thank you. Yeah. Your grandpa, thank you. Yeah. Your cat Maya, thank you. Your mom's old cat Morris, thank you. Your mom's grandma, thank you. Yeah. An old cat, yeah. Your great grandpa, yes.
My aunt's dog.
Your aunt's dog, yeah. Your puppy Zoe, yeah. One more, yeah. Sometimes we just hold the special people in our hearts and we think about them and we can think about all the things that they loved. Because Dia de Muertos, as a few of you said, is a time to celebrate our ancestors and remember the beauty of their lives. Yeah. One more time. How do polar bears swim? Ooh, we could remember polar bears on here, yeah. Yeah, so thank you for sharing all of those ideas and for helping me to build our ofrenda. And I wish you comfort and joy in your memories. And I wish you peace and love until we get to explore together again and have fun in your classes. And I'll see you around. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Let's sing Our Children on Their Way. Oh, you can make the world so bright, and you can turn the day from night, and share your gifts and spread your light, and learn what you know. To know when you hear someone, to know when you smile, to know when you cheer someone you have always known inside. A hand that touches one in need, a gesture, any helping deed, and all can plant this caring seed. For kindness lights our world. I invite you to rise again in body and or in spirit so we can sing another hymn, number 322. Thanks be for these. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 4, and 5. Thanks
inspiration this morning from Jimmy Santiago Baca. It was a time when they were afraid of him. My father, a bare man, a gypsy, a horse with broken knees no one would shoot. Then again, he was like the orange tree, and young women picked from him sweet fruit. To meet him, you must be in the right place. Even his sons and daughter, we wondered, where was Papa now and what was he doing? He held the mystique of travelers that pass your backyard and disappear into the trees. Then, when you follow, you find nothing. Not a stir, not a twig displaced from its bough. And then he would appear one night, half covered in shadows and half in light, his voice quiet, absorbing our unspoken thoughts. When his hands lay on the table at breakfast, they were hands that had not fixed our crumbling home, hands that had not taken us into them, and the fingers did not gently rub along our lips. They were hands of a gypsy that filled our home with love and safety for a moment, with all the shambles of boards and empty stomachs. They filled us because of the love in them. Beyond the ordinary love, beyond the coordinated life, beyond the sponging of broken hearts, came the untimely word, the fallen smile, the quiet tear that made us grow up quick and romantic. Papa gave us something. When we paused from work, my sister, 14 years old, working the cotton fields, my brother and I running like deer, we would pause because we had a Papa no one could catch, who spoke when he spoke and bragged and drank. He bragged about us. He did not say we were smart, nor did he say we were strong and were going to be rich someday. He said we were good. He held us up to the world for it to see, 3 children that were good, who understood love in a quiet way, who owned nothing but calloused hands and true freedom. And that is how he made us. He offered us to the wind, to the mountains, to the skies of autumn and spring. He said, "Here are my children, care for them." And he left again, going somewhere like a child with a warrior's heart. Nothing could stop him. My grandmother would look at him for a long time, and then she would say nothing. She chose to remain silent, praying each night, guiding down like a root in the heart of earth, clutching sunlight and rains to her ancient breast. And I am the blossom of many nights, a 3-fold blossom. My sister is as she is, my brother is as he is, and I am as I am. Through sacred ceremony of living, daily living, arose 3 distinct hopes, 3 loves out of the long-felt nights and days of yesterday.
Many years ago now, when I was still a relatively young minister, just starting out, and serving somewhere far from here, I got a call from a local funeral home. They had been charged with organizing a memorial service for a person with no particular religious affiliation. The family were hoping for a reverent form for the service and that it should reflect the life of their loved one. And they weren't particularly interested in hearing a whole lot about God or the afterlife, which made the local Unitarian Universalist pastor a natural first phone call. I agreed, of course, to officiate. The deceased was a man who had died relatively early in his middle age. I talked with a few people who knew him, mostly his ex-wife, but also a friend and a cousin. They gave me the details of his biography, told me how well loved he was, always everyone's friend. He had been a journalist who spent most of his career with a local paper. He was a well-known personality around town. When I asked delicately about his cause of death, I was just told that it had been a slow illness and asked not to dwell on it in my remarks. This well-known, well-liked man who had died had one child, a daughter, who was then in college. She did not speak with me in advance, but it was arranged that after I gave the eulogy, she would make her own remarks. When the time came for the service, I did what I had been asked to do. I recalled the broad outline of the man's life, shared a few warm anecdotes about his personality and character that had been given to me, and emphasized his commitment to the public good, as well as his deep love for and loyalty to his only child. It was what I thought at the time to be a perfectly adequate eulogy. My words were anodyne, inoffensive, I hope not saccharine. And when I was done, it was his daughter's turn to speak. She spoke about how much she loved her father and how much she missed him. How he had taught her many important things, and that one of the most important of these was a fierce devotion to the truth. And the truth was that her father had been killed by his addiction. He was an alcoholic. Long before that disease took his life, it had robbed her and everyone else who loved her dad of parts of him, so that she already had many years of experience at missing her father. She was honest about how much that hurt, how sad it made her, how angry. When she closed, she thanked him for being her father, and she reaffirmed her love despite how angry she was with him for leaving her and the world as early as he did. Then she sat down again. This person who had only barely entered adulthood, having taught me, and I think most of the other people there, a critical lesson in how to properly remember and honor the dead. Most of our ancestors are connected to us by chance. The first and most obvious of these are the ancestors of the blood. Children do not choose who their parents are. And so the vast webwork of each of the genetic family trees stretching out behind us in time is made up of people who made, at best, just one sort of decision that impacted its shape: who to have a child or children with. Everything else before then was just the compounding of earlier such individual choices. This is largely true for our ancestors of upbringing as well. Children who are adopted almost never choose the families with which they join. And if your father's best friend from the Marines or your mother's graduate school thesis advisor was a significant presence in your life growing up, those people are again not of your choosing. Those relationships were formed before you were born, and yet still they shape who you grew to become. Now, there are also ancestors of choice, people whose lives inform our own because of a relationship to them that we actively sought out took on or embraced. People whom we become metaphorical descendants of through some lineage of identity or idea. Religious ancestors, for example, who shaped or carried a tradition of meaning forward to the point that we might inherit it. Or the activists or advocates who helped to develop and promote some deep conviction that we espouse. Even here, though, this is more a matter of having chosen a faith or a cause. The particular people who feature in its history that comes along with that tradition belong to us in one sense, as we belong to them in another. Rarely are they the central reason for our joining that lineage to begin with. Rarely did we choose them so much as we chose something that they came with. Whether those we are descended from, biologically or philosophically, are connected to us because of specific choices we have made in life, or by choices that were made for us, or entirely by accident. We still have the power to choose them after the fact, to appraise them with the same clarity, and to accept them with the same compassion that the young woman that I mentioned before displayed in memorializing her father. That process must begin by de-idolizing them. De-idolizing any of the ancestors who have been placed on a pedestal. Relieving them of their responsibility to embody some archetypal ideal so that they may be restored to the messy complexity that rightly belongs to every human being. Susan B. Anthony, rightly or wrongly, is the first name that comes to mind for most people when we discuss the struggle for full citizenship and the right to vote for women in this country. It was certainly her life's mission, to the degree that it reportedly flattened everything else about her. I am told that she could actually be something of a bore at parties and at social events, because every single conversation with her was votes for women, no matter the context or the social pressure against her. She wrote, she spoke, she organized, she got herself arrested for the cause. Susan was raised a Quaker and she became a Unitarian, making her one of our theological ancestors. Specifically, she joined the church that I would one day grow up in 100 years later. When I was young, I played and ate snacks and helped my parents in the church bookstore under a large portrait of her in what was then the Susan B. Anthony Lounge. Many times in my life, I have prayed to find as much courage and clarity of purpose as Susan had, to work tirelessly against long odds the whole of her life, even without ever seeing her mission accomplished. But Susan B. Anthony was also a racist, and I mean that very specifically, in the sense that she made political arguments in word and in print which hinged on narratives of racial superiority and racial inferiority. Susan was an abolitionist. She supported and argued for an end to slavery. And further, she supported full incorporation of liberated black people into U.S. society with full rights as citizens. This puts her in the very most liberal, even radical wing of the abolitionist movement in her day. Given that many other white folks who sought to end the institution of slavery still explicitly argued against full rights for black people. and favored some sort of a scheme to send freed slaves back to Africa rather than accepting them as full citizens in America. But as the Civil War ended, and the 15th Amendment, which made it unconstitutional on paper to deny the vote to any American on the basis of race, as that was being debated, Susan took an ugly position. She departed from arguing, as she had previously, that both race and sex discrimination in voting were wrong. She argued, again, on multiple occasions, in print and in person, that if the barriers must come down one at a time, white women like herself ought to get the vote first. And she did so by arguing for the superior education, intellect, and moral character of her and other white women like her over recently freed Black Americans of any or either sex. There is no defending that. It was simply wrong in a sad, destructive way. And it's a profound moral blot on who she was as an activist and as a Unitarian. I cannot erase Susan B. Anthony's inspiration and influence on me any more than we could erase her from our history as Unitarian Universalists. And so I must be unflinchingly honest in my moral appraisal of her actions. And when I laud her accomplishments, I have to also speak candidly of her failings. If we can do this, if we can be honest with ourselves and each other about the fullness of our ancestors, it can open up a sort of creative dialogue with the past, rather than chaining us to an incomplete picture of it. In downtown Boston, on one corner of the public garden, there is a statue of William Ellery Channing, the person who we sometimes refer to as the grandfather of American Unitarianism. That statue faces out from the park rather than in, which gives him an absolutely marvelous view of Boston's massive pride parade as it passes by him each year. LGBTQ plus Unitarian Universalists attending the parade have a long-standing habit of adorning that statue every pride with all manner of rainbow decorations, beads and feather boas and snappy sunglasses. He looks fabulous. Thousands of people every June march by that effigy of our spiritual ancestor with his boyish face and his billowing pulpit gown. Them celebrating defiantly the truth of their own worthy existence, and him celebrating pride right along with them. The actual Channing was not that cool. His record on matters of social concern that we now take very seriously was decidedly mixed. And as far as I know, he never said anything in particular about same-sex attraction or gender identities between or beyond the binary poles. He died in 1842, which was more than 2 decades before the term homosexual was even introduced into the English language. To be clear, it doesn't mean that there haven't always been queer folks. There have always been, just that English hadn't developed terminology that we now consider familiar for them yet when he died. But he is a symbol to his theological descendants. Adorning his statue with decorations for the festival symbolizes our acceptance and inclusion and celebration of queer lives. When our movement was his, it was at least a little bit more open to difference and to diversity of spiritual ideas than most of the religious landscape that then surrounded it. And that diversity grew wider and greater over time. In one sense, that is all that this annual tradition is expressing. But it raises a philosophical and perhaps even a cosmological question that I find fascinating. And not one, I want to be clear about this up front, that I have a definitive answer for you on. This is one of those where I give you something to think about. In any religious system that takes the veneration of ancestors seriously, they are understood as companions, as witnesses, perhaps helpers or guides to their descendants. If we are constantly learning and growing, or at least constantly able to learn and to grow, and our ancestors are witness to this process, can they grow along with us? Can they become wiser, kinder, braver, truer than they were in life? We look to the best of them for examples to follow or to try to live up to. Can they also look to the best of us in the same way from their place of hallowed memory? If so, then that would be one extra reason to work at being better than our inherited biases and moral flaws would otherwise make us. That by our own progress, we are also redeeming our imperfect forebears. The poet Etheridge Knight, writing during the 8 years that he spent in prison for robbery, described staring at and being stared at by the 47 pictures of family members' faces arranged on the wall of his cell. I know their dark eyes. They know mine. I know their style. They know mine. I am all of them. They are all of me. We are indelibly connected to those who came before. Even to people that we cannot manage to forgive. Like those pharaohs whom subsequent generations of ancient Egyptians sought to excise from the records of kings because of their heresy or their gender. Those names were chiseled out of every stone inscription, just a hollow place remaining where the words once were. But hollow places are still something. They are lasting impressions as much as a name might be, sometimes even more so. Our ancestors make for strange sorts of accountability partners. They are simultaneously weaker and yet more inescapable than their equivalents among the living. A friend who breathes and moves in the world can grab your hand, shout in your face, stop you bodily from doing something wrong enough that she knows you'll never forgive yourself if she allows it to happen. The memory of those we have lost, or the stories passed down to us of the ones who came before the ones who came before us, they cannot intercede in the manner of the living. But in the still hours of the night, it is the dead who come to us most vividly down memory's winding pathways. In those moments, they know things about us that no other living soul can know. They can praise us for good deeds done in secret, can encourage us in struggles waged alone, can admonish us, even for sins that have never left the corridors of our hearts. We are each all of our ancestors, and they are each all of us. Therefore, let us choose them well.
And we invite you now into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to an offering which supports the work of this community and also the work of our outreach offering recipient, who this week is the Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development. Their mission is to cultivate innovative Black and non-Black leaders through culturally grounded programs who together create dynamic educational experiences and collaborative partnerships by building transformational relationships, equitable systems, and just solutions. There's multiple ways to share your gifts. Baskets will be passed here in the auditorium, and you'll see on the screen you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org. You'll see on the screen the text to give information as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together. And now we turn our thoughts to those who are no longer with us. Images come to our minds of dear companions who once graced our lives, loved ones whom we miss, persons whose lives made an impact on our own, all those who were here contributing, caring, and are now gone. Our memories bring both joy and sadness. Let us not push these feelings away, for our recollections attest to the enduring importance of these friends, this love, our memories. May these brave and lovely spirits live again in our tender thoughts and prove that death and distance are powerless to sever the bonds, the strings that connect loving hearts. And now I would have us recall to mind those members of this community who have died within the year. John Aronson, Sally Builder, Richard Builder, Barb Hornick, Francis Johnson, Scott Harrington, Alan Heitman, Shirley Inhorn, Stanley Inhorn, David Lucht, Bruce Noble, Beth Ament Podlowski, Stuart Updike, Susan Vile, Nancy Webster, Liz Wessel, Barb Zahn, Bobby Zahner.
And now we recall other loved ones, those who live in our memories, in our hearts. David Bates, Janie Capito, Anne France Cook, David Cook, Louis Crocker, Trevor Franklin, Mary Franz, Barb Gilligan, Karen Hirsch Selby, Clem Jansen, Kent Kirk, Bob Lockhart, Lee Molinoff, Catherine Nyhoff, John Payton, Bridget Perkins, Telly Pinkerton, Nicole Plout, Bernie Rhodes, Sylvia Robertson, Jane Silver, Cheryl Slack, Richard Steinberger, Juanita Steinman, Mel Troya, Mark Weber, Feng Zhang. And if you have a name to add to this list, I invite you to say it now if you are watching elsewhere, or to say it aloud as I reach out to you here in the room.
Each of us has ancestors and teachers, neighbors and inspirations and all manner of people whose lives have shaped and formed our own. Each of us have known other lives which have helped to make us who we are before departing. On this day, we remember these grandparents and confidants, these siblings and lovers and friends and children who live with us still in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts.
We, the living, keep alive the memory of the dead, as they also sustain us by the work they did and the love they shared in life. In times of joy and triumph, in times of suffering and pain, in times of contemplation or uncertainty, we are accompanied still by the ones who have gone on before us. As we honor our ancestors, the beloved dead who have made our lives possible, let us bless them together with the words now on the screen. May the memory of those who have loved me persist in the love that I give and endure in the love of those who remember me. Blessed be, and amen.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all we rest in. Now I invite us to rise once again in body and/or in spirit so we can sing together our closing hymn, number 103, For All the Saints. Thy
we offer gratitude and thanks. May their memories be a blessing. May we feel surrounded by their love as we go forth from this time and place. Let us be inspired by their courage, their wisdom, and their dreams. Let us honor them by doing the work of living boldly, loving mightily, and creating heaven on earth. Blessed be, go in peace, and please be seated for the postlude.